Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Two Brothers channel. I'm Mr. Phil.
And I'm Mr. Akinleye, the second half of the Two Brothers channel. Welcome, everybody.
Tonight, we're going to be looking at a topic that has been on our mind for a long time. And this topic, actually, when it first came to my mind, I was going to title it Africa, Get Ready for Disclosure. But, the last episode we did was many, many months ago. And that is another story in itself. And I've always told people that life happens. And whatever you're looking to do, like where we promise we're going to be doing at least 100 episodes on this channel, and then we'll see how things go from there. And we've got ideas and we've got things that we're going to look to do. However, I've always realized that life happens even in the midst of that. So our last recording was many, many months ago. We didn't plan it that way. But the point of me saying that is because I was going to title this episode, Get Ready for Disclosure. Ladies and gentlemen, between that time and now, disclosure has already happened. And so it's not get ready for disclosure again. It is disclosure has happened. So the title of this episode is going to be Africa, Disclosure has happened. And as we go, that will become clearer and clearer. And let me just give Mr. Akinleye a chance to chip in on this topic as we get ready to dive into it deep. Over to you, Mr. Akinleye.
Thank you, Mr. Phil. Disclosure has not just happened. There's been many series of disclosure on Gaia. And, if you don't know what Gaia is Google it and Google disclosure. Gaia, G-A-I-A, which is the name of Earth. Some people call the Earth, Mother Earth, Gaia. So many series of it, of disclosure on it. So that's been a lot of information on there. But I would say this is the wonders of social media, the wonders of YouTube, wonders of recording information that we can go back. You don't feel we've lost time. I hope I don't look any older. I think Mr. Phil doesn't look any older, unless you're counting our gray hairs. But I think to you, it just seems like there was no gap. But to us, we feel it. So back to Mr. Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Akinleye. Right, disclosure. Wow. Mr. Akinleye just told you about a channel called Gaia, and it goes way beyond that. Let me start from the beginning. This is going to be one of those episodes that if you're not ready for it, it's okay. It will just go over your head. Don't take that the wrong way. Because one thing in this universe is that whatever you're not ready for, you don't see. Whatever you're not ready for, you don't hear. Whatever you're not ready for, you don't perceive. So this is gonna be one of those episodes, and it's gonna be iconic because it's actually gonna be episode 90. Africa, disclosure has happened. Now, when I was growing up, I've always looked at the stars and I've always been interested in space. And I remember growing up watching Star Trek, watching Space 1999, watching Babylon 5, and I'm so fascinated about space, about what's going on out there, and so I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, the question was really, really sharp in my mind. Are we the only ones in the universe? And it was 50-50, it was like, we can't be the only one. But, coming from the Christian background and everything, it was like, we have to be. Every other thing has to be demons. It has to be demons or God or, Jesus. That's it. And anyway, cut long story short, a few years ago, I'm just talking to you my disclosure journey. A few years ago, I ran into the writings of Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. And from then, started exploring other things. And before you knew it, I connected with Bashar. Before you knew it, I connected later on with Abraham, because this information, people were just sending it to me and I was finding some myself. But by the end of maybe 2 years ago, it was just like completely like, it's night now, tomorrow day will come. I knew that we're not the only ones in this universe. Now, that in itself changes everything. Because the moment, imagine, we're literally saying that we are not the only ones in this universe, and other civilizations are visiting us and have been visiting us and have been visiting us for thousands of years. With technology that are thousands of years more developed than ours. So this recording device that I'm using right now, and our telephones, our TVs, our computers, our social media, our everything is 1,000 years behind theirs. So imagine what that means when they should really are now saying that they've shown up and they're coming to our dimension and are saying, look, we are real, we're here. It changes everything. Let me cut the chase. It means that all those Star Wars and all those Star Treks and all those Babylon 5 that we used to see, they're not fiction. They're documentaries. What that means is that, you see, let me quickly go through this before I hand it to Mr. Clare. Is that what that means is really effectively like telling all of us, go back to the drawing board. Everything that you think and you thought you believed in and you thought was settled and you thought was the way things work, go back to the drawing board. Everything is now null and void. Start from the beginning. Mr. Clare, it's unfair to drop you in there, but what are your thoughts?
Well, it's not unusual to be interested in this thing, and especially when it resonates with your spirit so much. Because I remember years ago when this Star Trek started. I think it started for me with Star Trek. And Star Trek was, I loved it. I loved it. Maybe because I was in cadets at the time and I could see a lot of things I could take and use. And it was a big inspiration for me. And Babylon 5, I wasn't such a fan. I know you loved Babylon 5. And even worse, I think the last one you mentioned was Deep Space Nine. Yeah. Deep Space Nine, again, I wasn't such a fan because I'm a Picard man. Me and Picard, we go way back. So Picard was my guy. So maybe because I just loved the way he ran the ship, he was the captain, and all the adventures. So Next Generation, Star Trek Next Generation was my thing. But I think with these things, it's what resonates with your spirit. And with Bashar and Abraham coming along, it resonated so much with my spirit because this, you cannot be in a situation where you're looking at It's just like the information you're getting from them makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't even sound like new information. That's the scary thing. It sounds like information that I know this is right. I don't need to check it with anybody. It's correct. It's just like somebody telling you the light is bright, you know, or darkness is dark, or water is wet. You don't need to check that. You just know that's correct. Don't ask me how I know. I just know. That's on the bottom. Back to you, Mr. Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Clay. You see, one of the things you mentioned Deep Space Nine, that's another one. I actually did mention that. I was mentioning Babylon 5. And the good news for you guys is that you're living in an age now where with the internet, everything we're talking about, you can check. You can go back and watch the Star Trek reruns. You can go back and watch the Babylon 5 reruns. You can watch Deep Space Nine and look at the interaction. Now that I'm telling you that really and truly those things can be regarded as documentaries, look at the technology that they're living in. Look at how they're going in space. Look at how they're traveling. Look at the kind of adventures that they're having. And those are the kind of things that are now becoming our reality. We're now realizing that, although we live in the third dimension, there's the fourth dimension, there's the fifth dimension, there's the sixth dimension, apparently up to the eighth and 12th dimensions. And we're now actually realizing that we're more than just beings living on the third dimension. Mr. Phil, what do you mean? I like my Mr. I like catching my own breath and just imagining people thinking, what is this guy talking about? The bottom line is that for those that are ready, it is called ascension. You are more than what you are. You are more than just flesh and blood. As a matter of fact, Mr. Kennedy was saying that while he listens to Bashar, while he listens to Abraham, he doesn't feel like it is new information. It feels like information that he doesn't even need to check because he just knows it's right. Now, why or how is that possible? There's something knowing, there's a level of belief, and then there's another level of knowing. Knowing is higher than belief. That means that sometimes belief is just what you've been told, what you've been taught, what you've experienced. The thought that you keep having becomes a belief. That's all belief is. Belief is a thought that we keep having, courtesy of Abraham reminding me that. Now, why do we say we remind that? Now, in popular culture, they will call it your subconscious. They will say that your subconscious is bigger than your conscious mind. With what you now realize that even your subconscious is just another label for your higher mind. And when you now tap into your higher mind, you find out that there are things that you already know. Not only me, not only Mr. Clay, we all of us have higher minds, and our higher minds live and dwell in the reality of just knowing. It's just like you going to ask a bird, how do you fly? The bird will look at you like, huh? How do I fly? And it will think about it and it will say, I just fly. I just fly. You go to a fish and say, how do you swim? And the fish will look at you like, are you this person crazy? Why would you? Then he will think about it. It's like, you know what? I just swim. I just. Same with us human beings. We have abilities and understanding beyond what we've been conditioned to operate under. And one of the reasons why I say we have to go back to the drawing board is that you have two choices. It's either you expand your knowing or you choose to remain where you are. So this information already is going to separate into two people. People that should stop watching us as we speak right now, or people that are ready to expand with the information. And before I let you go, let's talk about demons. Let's talk about demons. You know, we've been so conditioned, unfortunately, or fortunately, either with the way, depending on what perspective you want to look at it. We've been so conditioned about negative or positive. Oh, if I don't understand it, it must be demons. You must be listening to demons. Jesus is coming back, and if he doesn't come back, only demon will come back. And all I will say is this. Those are just fear-based philosophies, outlook, ways of dealing with things. Rather than always putting things, because okay, let me tell you the story of where I'm coming from so that it will be clearer. You see, I grew up in Africa. And in Africa, it's completely soaked in superstition. Don't do this at this time or this will happen to you. Don't go out when you hear this noise at night. If the cat crosses the fence at this time of the day, it means your grandma is cursing you. If this one is so many things. And okay, and when I started asking questions, now I said, because they used to say this festival. I remember one Oru festival. Oru. They would say Oru festival. And that's how they would tell me. And as a small child, the way they dramatize it, I'm already scared. I'm already like, oh. You know, they say, if you wash it, and as a small boy, I was petrified. Because these are people that are meant to be older than you. These are people that are meant to know better than you. These are people that you came to meet in this game, life. And they're telling you. So anyway, I was so meticulously taking note of this tradition, taking note of this, don't do this, don't do that, until I started going to the point where I started asking why. Why? And every step of the way, and that's one of the reasons why Africa is still where it is today. Every step of the way, when I say, why do they do this? Why is that scary? Why? You find out a very simple reason that is not even worth all the theatrics. Maybe the king wants to travel with some dignitaries and they don't want anyone to see who's in the cult. So they will make this sound and they will tell anybody that comes out, they will die, but they will not tell you it is them that is walking. They will say it's spirits. And once you see the spirit like this, you will die. You will die. So you now find out that everything you've been told, real or unreal, is just to control you. Now I can understand. You have to control your population. But when it's all steeped and your control is all steeped in superstition, in fear, in intimidation, in trepidation, then the price you pay for that is you now have a population and a community and a civilization that is behind because they're motivated by fear only. Versus another civilization, another population that are motivated by discovery, motivated by empowerment, motivated by equipping themselves. So now we're in Africa now, everything. And everywhere in the world, everyone else is carrying their. Let me look for something I can use. They're carrying their notepad. They're carrying their notepad and taking notes. Taking notes. Okay, okay. In Africa, we're like, no wonder we're not developing. Anyway, so that's it. So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Clegg now to see his thoughts on that, on how I experienced superstition growing up, and where I think it is really not that helpful. Over to you, sir.
Well, Mr. Phil, you're one that always looks at things differently to most people, because most people just follow what they're told and they don't ask why. As long as they don't get hurt, they're fine with that. I suppose I growing up, I was behind you, so I was watching you and listening to you, and your ways of doing things were a little bit different. Was not a little bit, very different to how everybody else was behaving. And so when it comes to superstition and these cults, like you say, in African villages, the king coming out with his crew, and they're scaring everybody with tradition to keep them away. And then I looked at the Western world; they have similar things as well. They might not call it, superstition, but they do have ways of controlling their own population, similarly to what we saw in Africa. And it's amazing how, even though we're very old now, we're older now, but we still have those childhood memories, childhood. I think that child is still in us, regardless of what anybody says, because I still feel the child in me. Maybe I've just had a good life, but I feel the child in me. It's that I can still feel and know that child is there, even though I've gone along in years. And which then goes to what we started with, is, are we really growing older? Because that spirit doesn't get your spirit doesn't get old, if we call it that. The inside you, or you're just old anyway. So you're not young, as we would call young and old. So I suppose it goes back to why those information resonated with me, and it resonated with my spirit, not with my head. Because was it a video that I was watching, that there's a lot of things that we do, even as human beings, like the video that you sent me the other day, that was explaining that because we can see, us seeing is our eyes decoding the atoms and the matrix, as they call it. And because we do it so well, and we've done it so many times, and generations of us have done it, we do it so effortlessly that we don't think about it. We just do it. And that includes our hearing, that includes our smelling, that includes a lot of the senses that we have in this world are things that we shouldn't take for granted. And they're things that we actually are doing consciously. Because some people can lose their sight. Some people can lose their sense of sound or sense of smell. So yeah, it's a wonderful matrix and a serious game that we're in. And yeah. So back to you, Mr. Phil.
Where we are now, we're now looking at, like I said, we've got to just look at the drawing board and literally realize that we're more than we thought we are as a human beings. as a human being and as human beings, we're capable of probably 1,000 times more than what we thought we are capable of. We're capable of time traveling. We're capable of astral projection. We're capable of um, shifting parallel lines, parallel times, parallel universes, you know. So our scope is so large that it changes everything we know till now. One of the things that I've been interested in is how we as Africans, finding ourselves behind on so many things, how we can evolve and catch up with all the other brothers that we have. Some African people don't even like me using that word brothers when I'm referring to white people, when I'm referring to other races. But yes, I will use that word brothers because you see, in the age that we're going into now, some call it the age of Aquarius, the age of enlightenment. Racism has no place. If you're trying to take racism with you into the new age that we are now experiencing, you're going to be left behind. It will reject you. Because you see, every low vibrational philosophy cannot exist in a high vibrational future. So, at the risk of saying good or bad, let's just say the more you equip yourself mentally, the more you equip yourself spiritually, the more you equip yourself in awareness, on awareness level, you will be raising your vibration. And as you raise your vibration, there are things that will be dropping off you, things of low vibration. You see, the higher vibration you go, and the higher dimensions you go, the understanding is that we are one. The interesting thing is that even people, even entities, and even okay, let me just let the cat out of the bag. Take it how you want it. My two greatest, I'll call them mentors right now, are not even on this planet. Mr. Clay will laugh. Or maybe the first time he heard me say that, he laughed. Where are they? They're not even on this planet. Because there's something called quantum entanglement. And if you're interested, type anything that I'm talking about into Google. Gaia, Leah spoke to you about Gaia. That's a subscription channel that you can subscribe to, and you can watch all these things, and you can do your research. Type Bashar into YouTube, and you see many videos. Type Abraham into YouTube, Abraham Hicks into YouTube, and I'm not saying that they are the be all and end all. I'm just saying that they are echoing what we already knew. Because you see, you are at some level, there's no information in this universe that you do not know already at some level. You know why? Because you have the spark of God. Some people call it source. Some people call it all that is. Some people call it whatever it comes with, but let me use source. You have the spark of source. Even Jesus Christ said, you are the temple. Temple of what? Temple of the source. So, and source is all knowing and is in you. Believe it or not, it is. And so when I hear from sources like Abraham that are in galaxies away. Now, before we started hearing and before we started interacting with them, and people will say interacting, you see, when you're talking to someone, when someone is talking to you, wherever you are interacting with them. And that means that they're in your reality. So the simple way I break it down is this. First dimension, quickly going through the dimensions. First dimension is a dot in one place. Your consciousness, you're just there. You cannot move left, you cannot move right, you cannot move forward, you cannot move backwards. Second dimension, your consciousness, but you can move from left to right on a straight line. Third dimension, your consciousness, where you can move forward, backwards, and up. And that's where we are. We're in the third dimension. Okay? Now, with third dimension, you're restricted with time and space. So that means that you're experiencing everything in a linear version. The fourth dimension, you unlock yourself from time and space. What does that mean? It means that time and space does not matter to you anymore. And that means so how do you quantify that? Okay. And that is why I say that we are now in a new dimension, interacting with entities from different another dimension. So basically, that means that while we were in third dimension before, that they were not interacting with us, is because planets are very far away from each other. So some planets, I think the closest inhabitable planet to us right now apparently is Alpha Centauri, and they're saying that's I think it's 4 light years away. 4 light years away, it really means that you have to get on a craft that can go at the speed of light. Do you know how fast that is? And it will still take you 4 years at the speed of light to get there. That's how fast and far it is. And there's some other planets that are 200 million light years away. So that means you have to take, the distance is ridiculous. So the distance is so vast that we might as well be alone in the universe. If we're going to use any craft that we have with our technology, we might as well be alone. But guess what? Apparently, what happened, this is the story. After World War II, and the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, apparently that atomic bomb did not only hit on Earth, it sent out waves. And you see, one thing with waves is that it goes and it goes, the ripple effect, and it never stops. So that ripple effect of that atomic bomb apparently became a signal to entities, civilizations, or let's call them galactic races, very far away from us. And we're like, what is that? Where did they came from? And they came to investigate. And then they found us. And they said, these people that we left here, millions of they've not developed that, they're doing atomic bomb. No. This is not no. We need to get involved right now, because the reason is this. Not only are we able to destroy ourselves now, we can destroy the fabric of time and space itself. So they had to show up. It's not like they didn't want to, it's not like they cared about, they were already. But no, we have to intervene. And since the 40s, they've been coming and they've been interacting with us on the governmental level. So ordinary man will see, I see a UFO. Government will say, shut up, you didn't see nothing. Ordinary man will say, I've just been abducted. Government will say, no, you're just mad. Put them in an asylum, even though government knew. Ordinary man will say, I'm talking to this entity. It's coming from this planet. Government will say, what the? No, it's a lie. It's a weather balloon. Anything but other entities from other planets. Why? Because it will disrupt the narrative. It will disrupt government narrative. It will disrupt racism. It will disrupt genderism. It will disrupt so many things, and the controls To be honest, actually, some people even thought that the disclosure that we had would cause many commotion. And so many people were surprised that what actually happened is that people looked and said, disclosure, okay, back to business, back to normal. And people didn't even make, people just acted like, what to do with me? Even I was surprised because I thought that once they disclosed that, okay, we're now speaking to aliens, not even aliens, let's just call them extraterrestrial. The reason why I'm not going to call them aliens is because you are alien to them. You are extraterrestrial to them too, from their perspective. So you're just a lower technological extraterrestrial to them. So let's call them extraterrestrial. Now, I thought that when they say that we're interacting with extraterrestrials, maybe I've seen too much Star Trek, maybe I've seen too much Star Wars. I thought people are gonna go. None of that happened. Even when I try to tell people that, do you know we're living in an age now, galactic age, their eyes will just glaze. And so I thought, okay. Now, they're saying that in the year 2020, between the year 2026 and 2027, there's going to be an unmistakable, undeniable extraterrestrial event. So now we're even talking about future tense now. We're talking about time travel. We're talking about quantum entanglement. We're talking about so many things. What am I trying to tell you? Keep your eyes and ears open and see how these things fit into your reality. Because when things are like this, it's a time of great opportunity. The times that we lived in the past have come to an end. Mr. Phil, what are you saying? I'm saying the time that we've lived thus far has come to an end. The time of, I'm in Africa, I'm in Europe, and all I'm doing is I'm gonna earn so that I can buy a car and I can have a house, and that house, and I'm now gonna pay bills, then I'll die. That's no longer the world you live in now, whether you like it or not. The world you live in now is the world where ascension is happening in every facet of our lives. When I say ascension, it's very easy that jobs as we know it, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, whether you think it's fair or not, jobs as we know it will become extinct. Our technology has surpassed it that we don't really need human labor anymore. AI can do everything better than us. So now you have to start thinking about how that will impact your life and how that will shape your life. Mr. Clay, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, Mr. Phil, this is
Sorry, I kind of just dropped you in there. I didn't want to take all the time. Carry on.
No, it's what you're saying is definitely something that a lot of people, because one thing I found out about people, especially where we are, is people have bills to pay. They don't have time to be thinking about no alien or extraterrestrial. As long as the alien can come and help them pay their bills, that's all they're interested in. They've got to find, they've got double overshift, like me and my friends we used to call them. They've got double overshift coming up. So it's interesting that you're having this conversation, and people will be thinking, how relevant is that to me, where I'm at? The people in Nigeria are thinking, is it going to help me leave Nigeria? Is that what you're trying to say? And the people here are thinking, how it's going to affect my cost of living? Or is it? Because that's where my struggle is at the moment. But one thing that I would do, like you've mentioned, is technology is fast increasing. So there will be a release of new technologies, things that we cannot even fathom, because we're it's top secret at the moment. But people like, don't ask me where I got it for information from. I'm gonna try and disclose to our audience now what I heard this week, that Microsoft is actually thinking about adding AI to their documents. So Word will have AI on it, Excel will have AI on it, so there's gonna be smart Excel, smart Word. And imagine, what does that mean? That means that now you can start talking to Word like you're talking to OpenAI to help you write whatever you need to write. And it will be a Microsoft product. I think that's going to be exciting times. And but what I can't wait for is the replicator.
Sorry?
Me, I love food, so I want the replicator to be created, and we can start replicating whatever I want to eat. And it will be, it can replicate an ice cream, but it will be a nutritionist.
Nutritional.
Yes, that's it. Nutritional ice cream. So just imagine having ice cream, but it has all the health benefits that your body needs, and it tastes like ice cream. That's what I'm waiting for. I can't wait for that. So let that come very soon. Nutritional. Nutritious. Nutritional. Yes. Back to you, Mr. Phil.
Thank you. And you see, I love what you just highlighted, and we're gonna round up now. I love what you said there about, how does it affect them in their daily lives and everything. It's already affecting them, like you said. What it will first happen is that it will first apply to technologies that you are already using. And those technology will slowly but surely, whether you like it or not, make what you are worrying about, your bills, your work, make them non-effect. So we're going to be going into a world right now where jobs will be obsolete. That means that the world economy will have to shift to accommodate people having nothing to do when it comes to jobs. They will start having other things to do. So the economy will now not necessarily be based on labor as it's always been. Anyone sitting there waiting that, oh, I'm 20 years old now and I'm waiting that, job will still be there. I'm going to be an architect. I'm going to be a doctor. I don't care what you think you are going to be. Technology is coming to take that over. Technology is going to come and take that over. Let me give you an example now. Oh, I'm a doctor. I'm safe. No, you're not. I'm an engineer. I'm safe. Are you kidding me? Let's take surgery, for example. We're going to be having robotics and AI and human beings combining so that you can do what's that called? Operations anywhere in the world. And it will get to a point where, so really and truly, surgeons will start reducing. And then AI will learn what surgeons are doing. And it doesn't need to sleep. And he has access. See, a doctor wants to remember something. A doctor has to say, can you draw up, okay, let's say even using the latest technology, you can just tell AI, can you look up these things under section this and that? And he will wait, and the AI will now feed him the information and say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to move this. Okay. Soon and after a while, AI will be the one suggesting to the doctor. After suggestion, guess what? It will take over. And after showing by statistics that statistically there are less errors with the AI surgeon than the human surgeon. And everybody can see statistically, guess what human beings will do? They will go for the statistically better option, which is totally AI surgeon. What is that called? Game over. It will go into governments. It will go into agriculture. It will go any. So when I'm talking about that we're in a new age now, what I'm realizing is that some of us human beings we like to say that we're in a new age 30 years after we're in the new age. But I've always been ahead of my time and my peers, to be fair. I've always been ahead and I've not stopped.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about today, some people will be talking about it 10 years from now. Some people will be talking about it 20 years from now. But guess what? By the time they're talking about it, it has already happened. And the effects have been known. So what is this time? This is the time that you have that. Why am I talking about it actually? Why is it actually interesting to me? This is the time to be able to maneuver. This is the time to be able to design where you want to be when these things that are inevitably gonna take place. These are the times. 2003. Because let me think, I'll tell you, okay, from now to 2006 and 2026 and 2027, that they're saying that there's going to be an extraterrestrial event. What that means is that we're literally probably going to be able to see spaceships land and advanced civilization entities, could be humanoid, could be, let me give you another example. It could be anything. Remember when you go to Egypt and you see a body with a falcon head, another you see a body with a bull's head, you see a body with an alligator head. Do you know those are real? Have you ever wondered why they actually capture those on the tombs of the pharaohs and in the hieroglyphics? Human body, bird head. So we don't know what's going to come out of the craft. All I'm just going to say is keep an open mind. Mr. Gale, let's round up.
Yes, Mr. Boo, you're right, because I was just thinking about what you said about the surgeon being suggested to, and because when we remember going back to Star Trek, they used to put them in a chamber, and the chamber used to heal them. The chamber would just go on the molecular level and attack whatever the issue, and it used to bring people at the point, almost at the point of death, back to life after a few hours or a few days in the chamber. So we could get a chamber that we can just lie in, and it will just do the operation, whatever the operation is on your body. I prefer that actually. I don't like all this cutting and sewing up, to be honest with you. So, and I believe when the event does happen, when the aliens do land, or when they do, because I think they're already here and they've been here many years. And but when they do come out, there will be so many things that will speed up in terms of exchanging of technology that we will just be used to it all of a sudden, because it's just like we got used to the mobile phone. There was one time we didn't have mobile phones as widely as available as we have it now. And now we can't think about having a world without no mobile phones now. And people that were born after mobile phones were released, they can't even believe how we survived without mobile phones. Like, how do you function? How did you communicate? No mobile phones? Is that even possible? But we could tell them that yes, we didn't have mobile phones. We had landlines, and you had street phones, and you that's all we had. So
and even that looks like big technology to us in those days.
Oh, it seems impossible, you know. to have anything but, now we have the replicator or the the beam me up, Scotty. The flip phone came, everything that we saw in Star Trek, that it's now becoming everyday normal use. So I can't wait. Honestly, I cannot wait for it to get into the medical field because we're so behind through by deliberately by the pharmaceutical companies. They held us behind. So because they want customers, right? They want clients. So I can't blame them for their profit profit demands and profit motives. But we need to get to the point where technology overtakes them, that they can't help but succumb. So on that note, it's been lovely chatting to you guys, and we are back. We're still alive. We made it through COVID. Although I think we've spoken since COVID, but
Here we have.
yeah, and everything is great. And you can see Mr. Phil's lost a lot of weight. So
I have.
we have to keep telling him that, so
Keep him happy.
keep him on the treadmill. On that note, see you guys next time. Back to you, Mr. Phil.
Thank you. I'm going to round up by just saying, so what does this mean for Africa? Africa, look, this is a time of renaissance for everybody. And what that means is that it gives everybody a chance to catch up. We need to take responsibility. Gone are the days where we're waiting for other people to do it for us. We need to drop that. That's not going to get us anywhere. That's only going to lead us back to bottom. This is the time for us to take responsibility. This is the time for us to be aware. This is the time for us to be interested. This is the time for us to be interested in taking leadership, interested in paying the price. Because you see, when we're talking about, we're in 2024 now, we're talking 2026, 27, this extraterrestrial event will occur. It will shake everything up. And when it shakes everything up, this is the time when, like the Chinese say the same word for chaos is the same word for opportunity. So it's a time for us to drop the labels of racism, of victimizing, victimism. Yes, I made up a new word, victimism. It's time for us to basically realize that what happened in the past has created a platform for us to leap off from. What happened in the past has shown us that we don't like hunger. What's happened in the past, we don't like being at the bottom of everything. What's happened in the past has shown us that we are better than we are. So we need to rise up. We need to do better. We need to be better. And nobody's going to do it for us but ourselves. Okay? On that note, it's been a pleasure coming back. And I'll see you next time. I'll give Mr. Clay another chance to say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.
God bless.
Bye.